Welcome to Bible Divas, a podcast from Baptist News Global, where four women Bible scholars bring curiosity, expertise, and a healthy dose of sass to conversations about Scripture. Whether you're certain, skeptical, deconstructing, reconstructing, or just curious, pull up a chair. The Bible Divas challenge assumptions, explore new perspectives, share a few laughs, and discover why this ancient book still matters today.
Welcome to Bible Divas.
We're women,
scholars,
friends,
and we want you to join us as we explore the Bible together.
Today on the show, we have us.
That's right, Jen. We want to explain a little bit about where we're coming from, why we started this podcast, and preview some of the fun that we are prepping to have this season.
But first, maybe a word about why we chose to use the word diva. We know it can be derogatory, used to belittle women who are just a little too much. But you know what? We like being too much for the patriarchy. And we hope that this podcast will give the Theo bros out there indigestion while we celebrate that we are fun, honest Bible experts who happen to be loud about the Bible and that we are female.
So what we're going to do in each episode is invite another woman biblical scholar to join us for really informed and often spicy conversations about the Bible. But today you just have us. So without further ado, we are going to meet our divas. And so, Jen, I'm going to start with you. Why don't you tell us a little bit about how we all met?
So I think we met at different times, but I'm going to say that we have some Baptist background in common, right?
Oh my goodness, we sure do.
Yeah, so we've been in the Baptist Academy for a while, and we've run across each other in different places. But what brought us all together is that we were nerds in residence for the Bible for Normal People, and so that's kind of how we met.
Yeah, and like Pete and Jared, they made all of this look easy. And so we were like, you know what? We could do a podcast. We could do this. And so, yeah, I think like the main thing was that we were all nerds together.
Well, I'm completely flummoxed that we all were Baptists. I didn't really even realize that. Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, oh my goodness, we all are in Baptist seminaries, except now I'm moving to a Methodist seminary.
That's
right.
So
that's an aside. Yeah.
That is true though. You're mixing us up.
I'm mixing us up. I'm so sorry.
Okay, good. All right. So Cynthia, let's start with you. Why don't you tell us about how you became a Bible scholar?
Wow. Well, that's a really long story, so I'll try to condense it. But, basically, I grew up in the church, and my parents became Christians when I was about 5. And so my second place was the church. And I just ended up loving studying and reading the Bible, and particularly the Hebrew Bible, the Old Testament. And I was never really a good student, but I loved history and I loved ancient history. And so I just couldn't get enough. And when I went to college, I took an intro to the Old Testament class, and I loved it and I couldn't stop studying it. And then I had the chance to go to Israel for a class with the same Old Testament professor where we did a dig for a day. And that we found nothing, but I like to say I found my calling instead of some particular artifact or whatever. And I've just been doing it ever since, and so if you ask anybody who knew me as a high schooler or even in early college, to see that, this is what I do as a job, as a vocation, is probably a little surprising to them.
So you said that you did a dig for a day. What were you digging for?
Well, we didn't know at the time.
Do you ever find anything on digs?
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah, for sure. But then I was what, 18, 19, almost 19, maybe 19. And we were at the caves of Mauritius and we found pigeon bones.
All
That's
right.
about it. But honestly, for me, that experience was very formative because I got to see that archaeology was history that you could see and touch. It was
Wow.
history that you can put your hands on. It was very, and I had never really thought about doing archaeology before that. And so that was a really formative experience for me. And I've just been pursuing it ever since.
Well, that kind of leads into your specialty. So, you are our resident archaeologist. None of us are
So
archaeologists, only
far,
you. Yeah, so far. Maybe I'll go on a dig with you and I'll
you
just be like
should. You are
archaeologist
all
now.
welcome.
Perfect.
I feel like I
So
would
tell
mess
us,
something up on a dig. That's just too much for
I
me.
know, don't you have to like camp or something? I don't know if I
No,
could
not
do that.
anymore. Back
Oh,
in the
thank
day,
God.
yes, but not anymore.
Well, if I can have like a hotel room and then dig, then I could
You,
probably do it.
yeah, we stay, it depends on the dig, but you do have pretty nice accommodations.
Love
Okay.
it. All right. So tell us about your specialty in archaeology.
Yeah, so I am one of these weird kind of people who does both Hebrew Bible studies and archaeology. So there's nothing about the Bible that doesn't interest me, to be honest, but the areas that I just absolutely love, Hebrew Bible in particular, the former prophets, which would be the books of Joshua, Judges, Samuel, and Kings, which are supposed to reflect the Iron Age, which is the time period, the archaeological time period of ancient Israel and Judah that I like to study. And so so I excavate. I'm a field archaeologist in Israel, and I've been doing that since I was gosh, since I started my master's, and so that was a long time ago. But I love excavating. I love being able to uncover things that haven't been seen or touched in thousands of years, and how that helps us understand ancient Israel and Judah as actual people.
Nice. All
I love
right.
that.
That's
Yeah.
great. No, that's really cool. Touching things that people haven't touched for thousands of years. That is really cool. All right, Angela, you're up next. Tell us
Okay.
how you became a Bible scholar.
Yeah, it's amazing to me that Bible scholar was never told to me by my guidance counselor in high school.
Me neither.
Yeah. So I often say that I became a Bible scholar out of sheer stubbornness.
Nice.
I, often had my professors, particularly when I was at Duke Divinity School, telling me that I would never become a Bible scholar. So because of that, I was determined to be a New Testament scholar.
Wow.
I went to school. I often tell students that school did not take for me the first time, second time, third time, fourth time. It really was like the fifth time after I had had children, had been married and divorced, and was raising children as a single parent, that I went back to school with my associates, bachelor's, then master's degree. And it was in that master's program that I knew I wanted to go into academia. I had already been licensed and ordained as a Baptist minister. I had pastored for 4 hot months. And when I say hot months, I knew that I never wanted to pastor. God did not gift me with pastoring a church. That was not my gift. And but I was gifted at teaching. So it made sense to go into academia I just loved the New Testament. I loved thinking about Jesus for some reason. Who knew? And so going into the New Testament just made perfect sense. And God continuously opened up doors that allowed me to get into PhD programs and multiple programs
Mm,
even after my professor said that I would never get into a PhD program because I was an older adult returning back to school.
mm.
So I got into PhD programs and then actually thrived in my programs and became a scholar on the other end of that. So I was just fortunate to be able to become a biblical scholar after having a life and career as a legal secretary, paralegal, before going back into school and becoming a biblical scholar. So that was my road to biblical scholarship.
Wow.
That is amazing. I never knew the paralegal part of it.
Mm-mm.
Oh,
I did
yeah.
know that you were stubborn. That that part I had tracked. Okay, so tell us a little bit about your area of expertise.
Sure. My new title, as you know, I'm transitioning to Garrett Evangelical Theological Seminary, and my new title is Associate Professor of New Testament and Womanist Thought. So in this position, I am combining my specialty in Pauline literature and womanist thought. So as a Pauline scholar, I study all of Pauline literature, Romans, Galatians. I tend to work in Galatians, Romans, Philippians. That's what my next book will be covering, entitled Faith Unlynched. So I'm looking at those particular texts. And so working in Paul and what is called Pistis Christou, or the faithfulness of Christ, is what I've been looking at for the past few years. But in addition, I work in womanist thought, which is particularly the lived experiences of Black women in the United States of America, but also in the world abroad. So I take seriously the history of Black women in the United States and what it means to just be a Black woman and read our biblical texts from this particular subjectivity as well.
All right, very nice. All right, Jen, you are up next. How did you become a Bible scholar?
I didn't set out to become a Bible scholar. I actually wanted to go into church ministry. And we say people feel a call, right? So I felt a call to ministry in high school, but I was also being raised in Texas in a Southern Baptist church. So there weren't very many options for me. Maybe a children's minister or a missionary, right? And none of those felt like it was the right path. So I went to college, a Baptist university, felt called to seminary. And by the time I got to the end of seminary, I realized that I wasn't going to get a job as a pastor in a church. And that was just the reality. Especially in Texas and Baptist life. And so my professors had said, we think you should get a PhD. We see a gifting of teaching in you. And it's interesting because our friends, Beth Allison Barr and Savannah Locke, did that podcast, All the Buried Women.
Oh, yeah.
And they talked about how there are those loopholes for women who feel called to ministry in Baptist life. Be a missionary, then you're able to preach, right? Be a pastor's wife, and you're able to pastor. And the third path was become a professor, right? And so that was the path I followed. So I went into my PhD in New Testament, and I kept on serving churches, right? It's not like I denied that first call. I had this maybe two-sided coin call of to the church and then in the academy. But it's hard because those two worlds are kind of far apart. So my whole journey has been trying to balance that, like to try to be a good scholar, but to be a good scholar for the sake of the church, right? And so that's kind of how my calling to the church became also a calling to be a scholar.
And I resonate with Jen on that, because a lot of Black women who enter theological education enter because church sends them. And I feel the very same way, even though, like I said, I pastored for 4 hot months. There was always this your path would have been easier if you were a man, but we recognize the calling of God on your life. So, we're going to let you do these things because we can't argue with God, because we see God in you and we see the calling in you. So we're going to let you do these things, but you're really not supposed to do these things, but we can't argue with God. So we're going to let you. That's kind of what happens in Black church, in Black Baptist church and Black Baptist conversations. So it's interesting to hear the differences between like SBC world and Black Baptist world as well.
Right. Yeah. When I was SBC, I was a children's minister for a little bit. I was an assistant youth minister to a male who was the youth minister because they didn't want a female to be the full youth minister. Right. And not until I became ordained American Baptist was I able to actually be a pastor in a pastoral role at a church. So, yeah.
Okay, so that is telling me though that we have two reverend doctors, right?
Oh, yeah.
So, okay.
Yeah,
So
I'm not one.
yeah, me neither. And I just think that that's so interesting because I don't know about you, Cynthia, but I never felt
No,
called to be a pastor.
I just
I was
married
just like,
one.
"Ugh." Oh, yeah, sorry about that. I married a
So
theologian girl.
it
It's
has
tough.
been part of my world, but just, a different part.
Yeah. But that's great. Okay, that wonderful. Jen, tell us about your expertise.
I am a New Testament scholar, just like Angela, but I tend to do most of my work in the Gospels. And I guess if I have like sub genres or whatever, I do biblical interpretation, hermeneutics. One of my newest book is about hermeneutics.
I have it right here somewhere in my pile of books.
Nice. And then I guess my other field, subfield is Rene Girard, mimetic studies and scapegoat studies. And that was my first book too. So yeah, that's my field.
Oh, that's
But
cool.
what about you, Anna? How did you become a scholar?
So, okay,
Good
so it was so
segue.
funny. Yeah, good one. Oh, I keep touching my microphone. Sorry about that to our producer who's going to be like, what is wrong with you? All right, anyway, how did I become a Bible scholar? So it's funny that Angela said that her guidance counselor was not like, you can become a Bible scholar because I grew up like just so, I wasn't Southern Baptist, but I was so ensconced in like evangelicalism. So my parents are missionaries with Wycliffe Bible translators. So Bible, big, big deal while I was growing up. Like, I love to joke that on Saturday nights, instead of doing like movie night, we would do Bible trivia night. Um, isn't that ridiculous? And then
I
my little
love it.
sister would
No, I
cheat and
love
I
it.
would cry, and there was so much drama. Um, anyway, so when I was getting ready for college, I took a vocational test, but this was an evangelical vocational test. And one of the options was Bible scholar, and that's what I got. I was like,
What?
I'm taking this vocational test, blah, blah, blah. And it was like, you should be a Bible scholar. And y'all, the only Bible scholar that I knew of was the Jewish guy in the Left Behind books. I can't even remember what his name was. So
Oh my
I
God.
didn't know what a Bible scholar was. I'd never heard of this before. Like, I'd been to church, I was very much in church, but we didn't have Bible scholars there, only pastors. So I was like, I don't know what that means. I'm going to go to college and get my degree in public relations. And my goal was to try to help Christian music artists, so like CCM artists, dress better. I was like, I need to do public relations so I can make these people dress better. And then while I was at college, I took some Bible classes, and I was like, what is this? This is so much more than my Bible trivia or my Sunday school. And I just loved it. And so I was a senior in college, and I was like, gosh, I'd really like to learn Greek and Hebrew. And I went to talk to my campus pastor about it, and he was like, well, the place you can go to learn Greek and Hebrew would be seminary.
Mary.
And I was like, well, then. Oh, and in the meantime, I had a Bible professor who was a woman. And I don't know if you guys have this kind of thing where like you have to see it to know that you can do it.
Mm.
But the fact that I had her as a Bible professor told me, oh, well, that's something that I can do too. And so
Yeah.
then it was kind of like, oh, I can become a Bible scholar. So I went on from there to seminary and then on to my PhD. But that was kind of like the genesis, like getting the vocational test to be like, you should be a Bible scholar. And then having a professor that was a woman, and it was representation. And so I was like, oh, I can see myself doing that.
Wow. Well, that actually is a question I had for all of you. Did you have female Bible professors
I did.
Yes,
Yes.
as an
but
undergrad or as seminary or PhD?
at seminary, but they were very different than me. And they were single females who actually kind of how do you say this? Dressed maybe a little more masculine, looked and talked like the other male professors. So even when I looked at them and saw all of them, I was like, I probably wouldn't be like that. In seminary, I was already married. So yeah, I had them, but they were a little different than me.
And your
Yeah.
PhD, you had female Bible professors too.
Yes, I
I
did.
did. My Dr. Mater was a Bible,
Oh,
Yeah,
a
yeah.
female Bible professor. Did no one have a Dr. Mater or,
I
your
did.
PhD
I
advisor?
did.
Okay.
I didn't have any female Bible scholars as an undergrad. And in seminary, the only female Bible scholars there were either theology or New Testament, so none in Old Testament. But the female professors were definitely allies. And then my PhD, I had a Dr. Mater.
Okay.
Oh, well, while we're talking about Old Testament, we should probably have Anna talk about her
Her
specialty too.
specialty.
Oh, sorry, Anna.
Sure. No, I love that question so much because
Such
I
a
was
good
thinking
question.
I've had women professors teach me Bible theology the whole way through, mostly men, but some women. But this is really interesting to me. I've never had a black professor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Angela's nodding
Yep.
like, yep, that tracks.
Yep.
I've had a
Yeah.
Korean professor. I think I had a Ukrainian professor. I've had many different versions, but never a black professor.
I still have so many students who have never had a black professor or a black female professor in their lives. And so I end up being their very first, and they're usually holding on for dear life in the classroom.
I
And
love
I'm
that.
really just trying to get them to like draw your shoulders down, relax, honey, boo boo, it's gonna be okay.
Mhm.
I bet well, on the one hand, I'm sure that it's like a shocking experience for them. They're like, okay,
Mhm.
this is so different from what I've experienced before. But I bet it's also, um, for those of them that let it be, a healing experience, like an experience. No, you're like, no, they don't. They hate it so much.
I know we weren't going to do this, but I will tell you one story about something interesting that a student said to me. And if we segue into this, I think we maybe have we have about 10 minutes if we could go into this. But a student said to me as I was closing class this past semester that they never had a professor, a first of all, they've never had a black female professor, but when in the first week of class, they asked me a question. And when they asked me a question, I paused for about 30 seconds
Mm.
before answering their question. And during the pause, the student was very uncomfortable
Mm.
in the pause because they were wondering, did I ask the wrong question? Did I say something wrong? Is she upset that I asked the question? Now, mind you, during the introductory class periods and times, I say, when I lecture, I don't mind you interrupting me with questions. I'm fine with that. And so when I paused, I'm Rolodexing in my brain all the answers that I could say, or Rolodexing the presuppositions and the assumptions behind the question. So even sometimes during the semester, when they ask a question, I may follow up with another question. So that also happens. But by the end of the semester, the student was brave enough to say, I was uncomfortable, I was afraid, and I never had a professor pause for so long when I asked a question. And I responded by, well, why do you think that is? And why do you think professors automatically jump to answering questions immediately? And then I said, and I flipped it on him because he was studying to be an Anglican priest. And I got him to say that as soon as a parishioner asks him questions, he immediately begins to launch into an answer. And I said, why do you do that? And he admitted, well, because I know the answer and I'm so smart. And I was like, ding, 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 ding. I
That is
said,
wild.
I know. I was like, there's a whole background of, you know, always having to know the right
Mhm.
answer, the proper answer,
Mm,
and to show off how smart you are.
mhm,
First of all, my self esteem doesn't come from letting you know that I know all the answers. My
mhm.
self esteem and actually my pedagogy comes from critically thinking about the question behind the question, your assumptions and presuppositions, and also getting just behind some of the questions that you ask. And then I said, and have you ever had a Black woman professor before? And of course, he was like, no. And I said, well, this Black woman professor thinks.
Mm.
I love it. I love
Wow.
it. All from a pause.
Mhm.
That is
Love
really
it.
cool. That's something I'm not very good at.
Yeah,
Often,
same.
yeah, often when somebody asks me a question, I'll be like, "Yes, let me tell you." Well, and I think that I think some of that comes down to our training. So, that we were trained to be like white men who know all the answers, you know?
Yes.
Um,
Excuse me, I have a section in my book.
I
What
know
brings you
you
to be a
do.
white male biblical scholar?
I gotta
And
tell
I,
you, Angela, your book helped me so much. Like, recognize why I felt so out of place in my
Mm,
seminary and PhD work. I'm like, why do I feel so strange? It's because the whole program is aimed at white males and talks about white male scholarship, and my personality, who I am as a scholar, just didn't fit into that. So, like, your book really helped me.
I
that's
appreciate
right.
that because we are not that,
Yeah, that's really
which
good.
makes this podcast necessary.
Yeah, that's
That's
right.
right. That's right. Well, okay, so speaking of white male training, so the way I got into my expertise, because I'm going back to that,
Yeah.
circle
Jennifer,
back.
since you asked me. I um I am a Book of the 12 person, and that just means the minor prophets. It's those little prophetic books at the end of your Old Testament canon. And I just kind of fell into it because in undergrad, a lecturer came in from the seminary. His name was Jim Nagowski, and he gave a lecture on the minor prophets. And I was like, this is amazing. I love this stuff. So something about his like, and I don't know if there is a whiter man out there than Jim Nagowski, and I say that so lovingly. But yeah, he just opened up a whole new world to me, and I was like, "This is crazy." There's this new documentary on Netflix right now called Trust Me, and it's about women getting out of the fundamentalist Latter-day Saints church, right? And so there's this one woman who she gets out of it. She's not wearing like the prairie dress anymore. And she just says, there's just so much you can do. Like out there in the world, there's so much you can do. And that was kind of that moment for me.
Mm.
Like, there's so much you can do with the Bible that I didn't even know about. And so just kind of like following from then on, I was just kind of like, I got to study these minor prophets. They're so interesting. Yeah.
I love that.
That's great.
I love that.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Biblical studies is a lot of fun
I
when you
love it
let it
too.
be.
Hmm.
Yep.
And so Anna, you did your PhD at
I did it at Baylor.
yeah
Yeah,
with
with Jim
Yes.
Nagowski. And yeah, he's just like a powerhouse in the
he
minor
is.
prophets. He's like such a big deal. Um,
And can we say like what institutions like we did our PhDs and where we're at now? I mean, because Angela already said, where she's transitioning to,
Yes.
but maybe we could say where we did our PhDs and where we're working at now.
Hmm. Yeah. I did my PhD at Fuller Theological Seminary in Pasadena, California. And I actually went and taught in Texas for a while at a Baptist university, but now I'm at another university that has Baptist roots called Campbell University outside of Raleigh, North Carolina.
Great. I did my PhD at the University of Sheffield in Sheffield, England, and my doctoral advisor was Diana Edelman, and I am now at Baylor in Waco, Texas.
There's so
Where
much
I'm
Baylor because I went to undergrad Baylor and MDiv Baylor as well.
yes.
Oh,
nice.
wow.
Yeah, I'm an associate professor of Hebrew Bible in the religion department.
Wonderful. And Anna, where are you? And
Okay.
then I'll go.
I am at Gardner Webb University, and it's a lot like Campbell. It's also Baptist affiliated, and it is in a little town called Boiling Springs, North Carolina, which is in between Charlotte and Asheville.
And I am currently at McAfee School of Theology. I did my PhD at Chicago Theological Seminary under a woman biblical scholar by the name of Sing-Ye Yang, so a Korean feminist biblical scholar. But I am transitioning to Garrett Evangelical Theological Seminary in Evanston, Illinois, where I will be associate professor of New Testament and womanist thought. And I think I am either the first or the second New Testament scholar to have womanist thought in my title.
Wow.
So that's exciting.
Wow.
I love that.
Yes.
Oh, Angela, could you
Yes.
tell us what being a womanist is?
Yeah, so being a womanist essentially is, like I said, taking seriously the experiences of Black women in the United States of America. And there are a few tenets of womanism that I hold to, such as my own radical subjectivity. I take seriously my wholeness and the wholeness of my community, meaning I think about the traditional communalism in African American community, but that doesn't mean I just worry about the wholeness of Black community. I think that if the Black community is whole, then that permeates to the entire world as well. I think that if Black community is whole, Black women are whole, Black children are whole, then everyone else would be whole as well because it permeates throughout the world. I also believe that there was a hole between Black liberation theology and feminist theology. So what Black liberation theology and feminist theology could not see, womanist thought bridges that gap. So there's that critical engagement between both of those issues as well. There's one that I always miss and I'm forgetting that, but that's it in a nutshell. Okay.
I think you covered it.
Thank you.
But I'm not the expert on it. Yeah, so one last thing that I was hoping we could all do, and that is say our favorite flavor of ice cream.
Ooh.
I know, I should have warned you.
It's okay. I can go
Sorry.
very quickly. I can go very
Okay,
quickly
do
because
it.
I grew up in Texas and I love Bluebell ice cream. And there's this newer flavor called oatmeal cream pie.
Ooh,
And it is the best. It is the best ice cream. I love it.
that actually sounds really good.
That does sound really good.
Good job, Jen. Okay, so I have a favorite, but it's really hard to get. So you have to go to Massachusetts to a little roadside stand called Captain Dusty's, and they've got an ice cream called Purple Cow, and it is raspberry ice cream with chocolate chunks and Oreos.
Oh my goodness.
Oh,
That sounds so good.
It's really good.
Go ahead.
Okay. I just love classic chocolate and peanut butter.
Nice.
I do love, though, the Bluebell ice cream brand here. That's been a very pleasant part of the move to Texas for sure.
And I was racking my brain and I was going to bite Cynthia's chocolate and peanut butter, but I would also say butter brickle. Does anyone make butter brickle anymore?
I don't know what that
I
is.
don't know, but
I
Okay.
love that.
So think butter pecan, but not pecans. It's brickle. It's like this tiny candy that's like caramelized candy in it. And it's an old school ice cream that I don't know if they make it anymore, but it used to be my favorite as a child.
Oh,
Yeah,
Nice.
I know. It's very nostalgic, and I don't know if I can ever find it ever again.
Maybe in Chicago. We
Maybe
need
in
to get up there.
Chicago.
yes, if you're
Might
going to
have it.
find it any place.
Yeah, I could sure find it in Chicago. Yep.
Well, ladies, this has been a fun conversation. Let's get together
Yes.
again sometime and chat.
Let's do
I'm
it.
looking forward to it.
This has been amazing. And we thank you all for joining Bible Divas. And we look forward to you all joining us again on our next episode really soon.
This has been another change-making conversation from Baptist News Global. The episode you've just heard is part of a special podcast series called Bible Divas. Be sure to follow BNG Daily at baptistnews.com and subscribe to get notifications about future episodes. Baptist News Global is a national nonprofit news service that is independent, free, and faithful. B&G is supported by readers and listeners like you. Learn more at baptistnews.com.
This episode was produced and edited by Mac Bowles of TKG Communications, LLC, Dallas, Texas.